Lori's Kitchen. So today we're making something, but it's not food. We're going to be making all natural soy candles, and I love giving these as gifts. I'm just a beginner. I'm no expert, but I thought this would be helpful for people who are learning how to make soy candles. This is my second time making them. I made some last year around the holidays, and it's getting close to the holidays again, so I made some to give some gifts to some people at work and some of my family. So as you can see too, I like to use the wood wick. This gives off a nice little crackling sound. It just looks so cool too to me, you know, so come along with me and we're gonna make these together.
Let's look at the required materials we're gonna need for this project. The first thing is a scale to weigh out the wax, some fragrance, I picked the peach mango, a glass thermometer, some containers to pour the wax into, a glass Pyrex pouring dish, a melting pot, a double boiler, some coloring cubes, some wicks, and some wax. I'm using soy wax for this project. Let's take a look at our wax. I have 2 pounds of wax that I bought at our local Hobby Lobby. It's normally $10, but I had a 40% off coupon, so I had paid $6 for 2 pounds, which is $3 a pound. And as you can see by the scale, it comes to just a shy bit over 2 pounds. Now let's get our double boiler ready. We get our stock pot, put in 8 cups of water. After we add the required amount of water, I'm going to put in my melting pot and put the wax into our melting pot. We're going to turn the stove on to low heat and we're going to let it melt slowly. We don't want to burn the wax in any way, so we're just going to let it melt on low, and you'll see how quickly it actually goes by. It's been a few minutes, and as you can see, the wax has begun to melt. As you can see, it shrink down into the melting pot. While it's melting, I go ahead and get my wicks ready. In this case, I'm using a wood wick, which gives a crackling sound. And I'm cutting them down to just a little bit below the top of the glass and actually cutting them at an angle. They say that it burns a little bit better when you give it a little of an angle cut. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm going to repeat the process for all 6 of my jars. One thing that I didn't show in this process was I used a hot glue gun to attach the wicks and the wick base into the bottom of the glass jar. This way when I pour the wax, it's going to stay steady and not tip over and be in the center of the jar. As you can see here, the wax is beginning to melt. We still have some solid in there, so we keep on stirring and keep it on low temperature till it melts just like this. Now that it's melted, we want to get it to a temperature of 185 degrees Fahrenheit. I use my glass thermometer to take a look at the temperature, and as I stick the thermometer in, I can see it's not quite there yet. Only at a little below 150 degrees here. So I keep on letting it heat up on low heat. Keep checking it, you don't want to forget about it. Now you can see it's up to about 175. We're almost there. Now that it's at 185, I'm going to go ahead and put in the dye block and the fragrance, and then remove it from the heat. I keep stirring it and waiting for it to get cooler. I take it off the heat. Now I'm waiting for it to get down to a temperature of 125 degrees so I can pour it into the containers. I'll check my thermometer, and as you can see, it's getting close to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Almost time to start pouring into the containers. Let's go ahead and pour our candles. Now that I've poured all the containers, I'm just going to make sure that all the wicks are in the center and standing straight up. I'm getting ready to pour a second batch of wax. I want to do some more containers, including some of these other sizes like this cute white one, including a square one and some other mason jar type of containers. So I'm getting my double boiler ready again with about 8 cups of water and getting ready to put my wax inside the double boiler to start melting. In this case, I'm going to do about 4 pounds of wax. So this melting pot can hold 4 pounds of wax, but it can't hold it all at once in the beginning. So what you have to do is fill it up, probably about 2 pounds, let it start melting, and then you can continue to add the additional wax. And you'll see that by the time I put it all in, there'll be 4 pounds and it's going to melt down and there's still lots of space in the container. Now that all the wax has been added, we're going to go ahead and keep stirring it and checking it for having all the solids melt into liquid. Now it's been melted into liquid and we're ready to start taking the temperature. We're looking for a temperature of 185 degrees. We're now putting the glasses into the oven, trying to get them to a temperature of 125. This way it'll make a nicer pour when we start pouring our wax. And here's our first batch of wax that I've poured. Now we're on the second batch and I'm trying to get it to 185. It got to 185, so I'm getting ready to add in the 3 different fragrances that I'm using. I have it in 3 different containers because I'm doing 3 different fragrances and colors. This is the batch where I used 4 pounds of wax, so I just have to have 3 melt-proof containers. So as you can see, I'm using some Pyrex cups and including the melting pot for my third fragrance that I'm doing. And I'm just going to be adding the fragrances and then stirring them and checking for the temperature to drop between 125 and 135 so I can go ahead and get ready to pour. I'm checking the temperature, looking for that 125 to 135 degree mark for pouring. I like to pour at 125. So I just check them all and I see that they're ready, and I take out my glass containers from my warmed oven and I go ahead and pour my 3 different fragrance oils and waxes into my containers. Now that I've poured them into my containers, I'm going to go ahead and try to get the wicks to stand up straight. I don't have enough wick holders to do this process, so I'm using these skewers that I use to barbecue shrimp, and I've just broken them in half and now I just lean them up against it. Here I'm picking off an extra chunk of wax. I don't want that to be on my wick. It'll look funny when it's done. So then I just make sure it's standing up straight in the middle and use this stick if need be. Just making sure everything's nice and straight so as it cools, it's gonna look perfect. This is what they look like when they are straightened and standing up nice and in the middle of the glass jar. Now we just let them cool overnight. This is something I like to use to put on my glass jars to finish them off, these nice circle round printable labels. I use these on my mason jars especially, and all of them really. And these oval ones I use on my mason jars and other glass jars. They're a really nice label you can print on, and I put the fragrance of the candle on the front, and you can design them any way you want. So here's the final product. I have the fragrance on front and a little personalized message on top on the circle label. and put a little ribbon for decoration. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe and put any comments down below. Thank you.